What's up, family? This is your boy JoBar, Eliezer, Qandu. God as to the one who encourages, aka WiseDuality. I'm the spark that sets the world on fire. Do you understand why I say that? Because my job is to spark thought within you, to spark change in your mind and your heart, to lead you back to a path of pursuing God, to knowing God for yourself, not from a pastor, not from somebody else's testimony or witness, but for yourself to take the journey. Each of us are destined to come to a fork in the road to make a choice, which was our original purpose of existence, to choose God, to be with God. That was our entire purpose of being, to choose God, to be one with Him. Along the way, through disobedience, the fall of man, not choosing God, we were consumed and cursed to live in a body of flesh, a body of limitation. And along the way, through years and years of separation from God, and we are in 2023 since the coming of Christ, people have forgotten who God is. People have rejected God. People have forsaken God. People have forgotten Him. I don't know if I said that, but if I did, that's what it is. That's what it truly is. We live in a nation of the United States where its principles and its prosperity was built on a relationship with God, God's teachings, God's laws and rules of morality and justice. And the further and further away that they move from that, the closer we have become to destruction. I was having this conversation with my brother earlier. He called and woke me up, told me, get up, get up, get up, get out and do something. You know, even though I already had an alarm set for 11:30, I have an alarm set for 11:30 and 12:30 that says the same thing. Get up, move, do something, right? Since I work nights, so that's why I get up late. But we were having this conversation, the same type of conversation, and you know, we were discussing it, and we both believe on the simplicity of our entire purpose is to choose God and worship God. That's our existence, and we dumbfounded by putting everything else in front of that, making everything else priority: working, clothing, money, um, what have you, the things of men, of our own desires, or whatever desires in your mind or in your heart, in your flesh. And how we as individuals, it's like him and myself, the things that we went through and the things that we showed our children because of the behaviors that we walked in at that time, even though we always knew that we would have to come to God, we would have to face God, we would have to make a choice. We always knew that. We all, even in our rebellion, in our times of smoking and drinking and whoremongering, We knew that the party was going to come to an end eventually, and that we was going to have to choose him or be destroyed. We knew, right? All of us, everyone that we hung out with, all children of God, all had this calling on our lives in one way or another, right? So we were speaking on that, and how we go through what we go through to teach our children. That is the purpose of having children, to bring up godly children so they can do or accomplish what we set out to accomplish in less time. And that is to choose God, right? And though we are older and our children are younger, and they say, well, you did this. Why haven't you learned from my mistakes? When I'm telling you, these are the mistakes that I made. But you want to use that as your defense, your excuse, your reasoning to walk the path of destruction. When I'm telling you, it leads to destruction, or it led to destruction. And I can save you time. I can save you from pain. I can save you from shame or guilt and disgust or fear and frustrations, failure. Because I already walked down that path. And this is the right path. I'm telling you how I ignored God, how I ignored the call, how I still heard him doing everything I ever did. But he stayed with me. God doesn't leave us. We leave him. We let go his hand. His hand is always there. And it's either we grab hold and come into him, or we let go, pull away, and refuse him. I have several people that I know in my family that are hurting. That are hurting really bad because of their rejection, because they don't want to surrender to what they know that they must surrender to, right? They know the calling on their lives, but they running from it. They're distracted with whatever they are into that helps keep them from going down the path that they know they need to go. Running from their higher selves, running from God, running from their purpose and their calling on their life. Not learning to let go, wanting to be in control over everything that they have no control over. Other adult people trying to control other adult people only causes pain within yourself, because you can't make them do what you want to make them do. If we couldn't do that as grown people, as adults, make children do what they want to do, what make you think that you can have grown people that have their own children living their own lives, that you can make them do what you want them to do? It's impossible. The only one you're hurting is yourself, because you won't let go. You won't let go of control. And though you are made in the image of God, even God does not impose his will upon other people's wills. I spoke about this before. He will let you go so that your will be done instead of his. And he know that your will lead you into destruction. So how much more being parents must we learn to let go and let our children live? To learn to trust God, that whatever he's doing in us, he would do for them. If it is his will. Everybody think their child or other human beings are children of God. When we're not. Everybody is not. He has a chosen few. He has a selected few. And not from anything that you could ever do in this life. He chose you before you were ever born. How deep is that? You were his, or you are not his, before you ever took a breath of life in this world. How deep is that? Does our free will even matter? Of course it does. But ultimately, God's will be done. Whether you want it to happen that way or not. Whether you like it or not. Right? Proverbs 16. We make our plan, but God laughs. Because it's his will, his purpose that will be accomplished in your life and on the earth. Why do people die? How is there a God? And my child is dead. My child is gone. My child died this way. What did they do? What wrong did they do? They must have sinned. Other people may say they must have done this and must have done that. But Jesus spoke on this. Yeshua HaMashiach spoke on this. He gave the word and said, not everything is caused by someone's sin. Not from the sins of the mother or the father or the child. But it was God's will that it be this way, so that in turn God's power, God's glory, mercy, love will be shown throughout the world, to be witnessed. It is his will. It reminds me of a story. That's why I say you got to read all the scripture, because in the Quran, there's a story about Abraham. I believe it was Abraham. No, was it Abraham? Or was it Musa? I'm sorry. I can't remember. It was either Abraham or Moses, but I'm sure it was Abraham. It might have been Moses. Might have been Moses. But anyway, he was walking through the land, and there was this young guy who knew this guy was a holy man. So he said, I want to be your disciple. Can I follow you? Can I follow you? And he was like, nah, you can't handle this life. He said, I can do it. He said, okay, if you walk with me, you want to be my student, you want to be my disciple, don't question the things that I have that you see me do. Don't question it. Because what I'm doing because this is God's will for me to do. So the first act was I don't remember the order, so I'm just going to give it to you how it is. One of the acts was Musa came upon this house and he burned the house down. Right? He burned the house down. And the disciple, the guy that wanted to be his disciple, said, "Why are you doing this? Why are you burning down people's property?" And he said, "Didn't I tell you not to question me? Didn't I tell you not to question me?" So later on, what happened was the town was invaded. The child's parents was killed. The child was away. But the reason for him burning down the house was because if the parents would have been in the house, then the raiders would have found the treasures in the house. But since the house was burned down, they didn't find the treasures. But he knew that the child would look for his parents in that house and find the treasure. Do you understand? Another one was, there was a great ship in the port. There was a lot of, they were bandits. So they had a lot of treasures on there and stuff like that. So at night, Musa got on the ship and he drilled holes in the ship so that the ship would sink. So once again, the people was like, why? Why would you do that to these good people, to these fortunate people? Musa said again, "Didn't I tell you not to question me or asking me?" Or it might have been Abraham. Well, the holy man, I'm going to say that because I don't want to mislead anybody. But I'm doing this off of remembrance. And he said, "Don't question me. You wouldn't understand." Because we don't understand the acts of God, right? His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. So he broke it down to him. I drilled the holes and sunk the ship because this ship was going to cause a lot of damage to a lot of people. These people were going to go around gathering slaves, men, women, and children, and bringing these people to a life of atrocity. There would have been so much damage and pain and malice and violence and life lost because of the people in that ship who owned that ship and their agenda. But nobody else knew it. But the holy man knew it because God told him. So every time you think that something bad is happening or something atrocious is happening to you or around you or to someone you love, and you want to curse God, but you don't know what God knows. You don't see what God sees. You don't hear what God hears. You don't know the reason why. People want to just get stuck on this Christian message because it's not God's message. It's not a holy message. It's not a righteous message. It's a religious, man-made, ritualized, traditionalized thought mindset that has been distributed, whitewashed, brainwashed among the people because they don't read it for themselves, because they are more concerned with having a pastor telling them they're safe than actually doing the work themselves to have a relationship to save themselves and be safe by their own accord, by their own mind, by their own heart, by their own reconnecting of the soul to the Spirit of God, which is the mind and the heart. That's your soul, right? That's what lives on, not the flesh. It's so deep. If people really just took the time to think about what existence is, who you truly are, not black, not white, not African, not European, not Mexican, not Puerto Rican. I'll make a statement to say that we all come from Africa, so we all black, right? We all come from Adam, right? Having this discussion with my brother before, we are all descendants of Adam, right? If you read it for yourself, all men were in one place. All men got separated by God. That's how the different nations and different cultures came about, right? It was God's will that we be separated in language so that we will not continue to destroy ourselves. It's like not putting all your eggs in one basket, right? So when people have their message of God and this message of God, and people say, oh, well, his name is not this and his name is not that, or it's not like this in my text. So what? If these are practices of morality, spirit filled, of getting your mind right, of connecting to the one that's higher than you, what do you care what his name is and what culture is talking about him? Oh, they want to leave out Jesus. Yeshua HaMashiach? Isa? Whatever his name is in whatever culture? Black people always want to identify with Egypt. Why? Egyptians are not the chosen people. They weren't the first to have language. They're not the first civilization. They learned from someone else. Huh. Wow. Right? So why do everybody want to say commit or that town, that country? Commit. When it's beyond that. Once you tap into the spirit and get connected with God, you have access to knowledge that's not written in a book. You're not limited to somebody else's opinion. You have knowledge, and your knowledge is confirmed when you take the time to listen to other people. You see God in all things. You're not concerned about semantics and religiosity. 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 You know what I'm saying? Religious practitioners, the Sadducees and Pharisees of this day, the same thing. They tell you what the rules and regulations are and try to keep you from achieving what they themselves cannot achieve, will not achieve. There's no helping hand. What is the point of having government that is we the people when the people in the government are not for the people at all? They're not for the people. We live in a country where our government is not for the people. But we have a voting process that doesn't even reflect who we vote for or what we want. It's ridiculous. Can't we see that America is on its last leg, is in the grave? America has fallen into the same errors that every great nation has fallen into. Sodom and Gomorrah, Rome, Greece, with this homosexual agenda. It is written, when man and man becomes the norm, becomes the standard, becomes the false truth, our nation, any nation, is on its way of destruction, doom, damnation. You don't believe me? Read it for yourself. You don't believe me? Go outside and look. Look at the change in the weather, the change in the seasons. Every biblical prophecy is being fulfilled or has been fulfilled, and the ones that haven't are being fulfilled. The Euphrates River is dried up. You got all these false Jews in Jerusalem trying to kill off the real children of God, keeping them from their homeland. Those Jews that are in control are not real Jews. We know this. Those are the Jews that adopted Judaism in Germany and in Europe and was allowed to come back to take over the Holy Land. With the help of who? Nations like America. These demonized people that has caused pain throughout the world. These European nations that have caused pain throughout the world for money. There's no unity. You know how to kill white power, white power, white power? Give some of them money. I bet you they won't scream what everybody else is screaming anymore. Same thing with black people, right? Black power, give us civil rights. Instead of giving you civil rights, they gave you jobs and you left the struggle, you left the battle. Right? Comforts, money, houses, cars, and a false freedom. You just traded one prison, one cage for another. How many people on the hamster wheel in the rat race? I can't do this, I gotta go to work. I don't have time to care for you. I don't have time to listen to you. Mothers, fathers, I don't have time to nurture newborn babies, newborn people that they bring into this world, newborn life that we bring into the world. And our biggest concern is going to work, having a job. I got to take care of my child. Really? When your child is losing so much more than what you're gaining through money, because it ain't going to last. There's no real connection between parents and children anymore. Is there? Isn't there a disconnect? We can get on the father and mother and the taking the people out, the black man out of the home. Not only the black man. Because it's not about race. It's about an agenda. And the agenda of the Antichrist, the spirit that rules this world. It ain't no waiting for it to come. It's been here. And every nation has been brought down through that Antichrist spirit. And that spirit is the spirit of homosexuality. That's what destroys man. Whether you want to believe it or not. That's what destroys nations and humanity. I said it. I stand on it. And I've been saying it. You can check my text, my posts on Instagram, Facebook, wherever. YouTube, I put it in everything. The homo agenda is what's going to destroy this nation. This homo agenda is out of hand. It's everywhere. You can't watch TV anymore. And it's subliminal, which means it affects your subconscious. Thinking things that you normally would not think. Why? Because they putting it everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And if you don't know who you are, you might fall victim. If you're not strong enough, you might fall victim. You might think it's okay. You might think that's the right thing. How can a nation make that a law and then try to enforce that law around the world? What the hell? Who do they really think they are? Seriously. You think you can police the world, United States? You think you can impress and oppress your agenda upon everybody else? Look at the destruction between the man and the woman. You got everybody fighting with each other. Women ain't women no more. We know that. Men ain't men no more. We know that. But where's the love? How do we get back to that? How do men become the men that they were created to be? We got people in office that are fighting against the divine order. We have a whole mentality of women that think they don't need a man. because they don't respect men and our restraint. Every day. Can you think if most men lost their mind, what the world would look like? What your community would look like? With the evil that men are capable of doing when we lose restraint, are disregarded? People saying this toxicity of man. Really? I don't think you've really even seen the toxicity of men. Here and there, but not as a majority. Women would not be safe at all. At all. Think about it. For real. It's that deep. It's that deep. The atrocities that men are capable of. And it's not law that keeps you back, that keeps us back. It is ourselves. Right? And then you have those who are spiritual, connected with God. I don't like saying religious. How can you be religious and say you with God? If you're religious, you're limited. Because you're only going off of what one book has provided you information on. There are other sources to the pieces of the puzzle. And the main source can't be found in a book. I'm tired of the separation between the woman and the man. That's all I see. That's all I hear when I scroll through YouTube. Men ain't crap. Women ain't crap. We ain't been crap since the fall. But there's no longer any tolerance for one another. There's no longer any patience. There's no longer any compassion. There's no more connection and unity. Why? Only because of money. That's how they got the man out of the house. And that's how they got the woman out of the house. So now, money is more important than connection, than life, than love, than union, than divine order. Marriage was given and created by God for a purpose. Because we all have a fire within us of passion and desire, pleasures and sex, sensualities, sensual natures. And marriage is that covenant, that foundation, that boundary, that container where all of these things can be safely lived out, explored, expressed. And that marriage, that covenant, that container is man and woman only. That's where the blessing is. That's where life continues. How life continues. The people of God continue. Will he take care of the bastards? Of course he will. Will he bless them? Of course he will. But is it his will? No. This disconnect, it's not only destroying homes, not destroying cities, not only destroying states and nations, but it's destroying the world. And America is in the forefront of this destruction. Yeah. Listen. Listen to the rhetoric. Listen to the propaganda. Listen to the ignorant people that are sitting in Washington and their agenda. Listen to their words. Listen beyond what they're saying. Look at their facial expressions. See the emptiness, the cold-heartedness. And those that want to speak out and against it, they're silenced through their fear. Or if they do speak out, you hear it once or twice, and that's that. Because who is that? Who is the Antichrist? The God of the air, right? The media. Who controls the airwaves? The Antichrist. The greedy. How many children of God are in the airwaves that's being pumped up and the volume is pushed, amped up, ringing in everybody's ear like the things that are against God are? All I know is if we the people don't come together and overthrow this government, everybody worried about their guns, having their guns to for whatever may come. But ain't nobody thinking like get guns to build this army to go against the army within, because the only change is going to happen is by through a civil war. If we don't want God to completely destroy this nation, to completely destroy it, then God's people must take hold of it. And you have so many police officers, military people that are just blindly following when they know the truth. If war breaks out, do you really think it's going to be black people versus white people? Or is it going to be the wealthy against everybody else? Because that's what the police officer was created for. That's what the military is all about. They're keeping their agenda. I really don't even understand how people can continue to join the American Army, military, and then go out and create and fulfill the acts that they do when they know the truth. Like when they went over to Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan. And weapons of mass destruction when they knew it wasn't no weapons of mass destruction over there. And killed all those innocent people when they knew it was on TV that the bombs were exploding inside the building. How many people remember the original newscast when people were coming out of the building saying that? The original ones. The bombs are going off in the building. We hear the explosions in the building. We smell these smells from inside the building. Way before the towers fell. The agendas to cover up what? Greed. Did we forget how millions and millions and millions of dollars was lost by people that their savings through the Enron scandal? You forgot? But that went from all our savings are going to kill the infidels, kill the insurgents, kill the Taliban, kill what's his name? Osama bin Laden. Huh? He did it, huh? A bunch of sheeple. Whatever the media say, that's what it is. Nobody thinks for themselves. And those of us that do think for ourselves and try to tell other people about it, they think we crazy. We don't know what we talking about. We conspiracy theorists. We're cynical. We don't know. When the truth is right there in front of you. I remember I seen it and heard it for myself. The bombs are going off inside the building. So how could a plane at the top of a building bring down a building from the ground, falls downward, when the top was damage was at the top? It didn't knock it over to hit the other building because it would have toppled. But both of them came straight down. And all of you people out there call for an innocent man's life to be taken. Blood is on your hands. All those people that died over there. Yeah, we're Americans. We're Americans. We're the shit. I said it. But what do you expect? From the same mind of the same people that came in, committed the atrocities they did on this land. Black people was already in America. African people was already in America. The natives were already here. The Mexicans were already here. And they brought that European mind of destruction and evil and wickedness, soullessness here. And though they had a form of godliness, was it really? But God always had his people in the mix. And that's how America was blessed by God's people. And that was for a time. How many of God's people are empowered now? Not too many, if any, because I see no change. And I'll say this, I'll stand on it. Barack Obama didn't do a good job at all. He did nothing for Black America. He did nothing for the little man. Really, he didn't. Affordable health care, Obamacare. What? What is it paying for? You still got to have money out of your pocket. You still got to pay a premium. He did nothing. For real, he didn't. He killed some people, and that made him great. When there's still people over here starving, that's not the first time we've been in this predicament. Of recession and depression. When are we going to have a president that comes in and does what George Bush Jr. did? And that is to do his will. But we have a president come and do God's will and don't care what everybody else has to say. It will be the same way George Bush did it. The same way that Donald Trump did it. Clinton, another president. Where was his greatness? Did you know that more black men went to prison under Bill Clinton's administration than in any other time? More than Reagan. Same, but it was the same agenda. I know I don't went off on a whole nother tangent, but this is the thoughts of my day, right? And I'm going to share these thoughts with you to provoke thought in you. Those things are beyond me, greater than myself. I know the truth of them, but I don't worry about them. They don't shape or they are not my daily concerns. My daily concern is me, my well-being, me doing the right things, me remaining clean in my spirit, cleaning myself so that when it's time for me to go, I smell good. Yeah. Right? So, I will leave you with the question I will always leave you with. Where is the love, especially between the woman and the man? Where? What can you do? What will you do to fix it? It all starts within, then in the home, locally, statewide, nationwide, worldwide. Peace.